Now, we are Discover the Finger Lakes, and we are back for another cold adventure for February. Isn't that right, Brady?
Yeah.
It's definitely winter time here in New York, and we want to thank everyone for those that did watch, our last episode, which only got 11 views. I don't know why. We wasn't being very critical of anything. We just wanted to show you the history of New York, of 3 women in history. And so nothing wrong with that. Anyway, we're moving on. We got some good things coming up. Also, I want to make a special mention. Somebody that started watching our videos, he goes by the name of Furby, and you know who you are. He knows who he is, and thank you so much for telling me that we should have more subscribers. And he thinks that all our videos are good. He complimented me and Brady for what we do, and we thank you very much. He even mentioned about going with us sometime, but he's in another state, so yeah. You never know. With that in mind, we welcome everybody, family, friends who want to go with us. Maybe not necessarily in the cold, but we do welcome everybody. So for this month, we're doing something really nice. If you live in New York, if you live around Geneva, New York, you may not know some things about it. Thanks to the Historical Society of Geneva, I found a lot of things out. Stuff that you might know, but you wasn't sure about. We're going to show you that, and we got a couple trails we're going to show you. So, it's really cold out here.
Yeah.
Even the sun's out, but we're going to show you some really nice things, and let's, something you might like. Geneva is a city in Ontario and Seneca counties in the U.S. state of New York. It is at the northern end of Seneca Lake. In 2010, the New York census for Geneva was 13,261. Now for this episode, I went to the Geneva Historical Society in Geneva and talked to the curator and found out a lot of interesting stuff about Geneva. First and foremost, what we're going to discuss first and show you is something dear to my heart, which was the Native Americans around Geneva, New York. Desaga was a major village, perhaps a capital of the Seneca Nation of the Iroquois Confederacy in west central New York State. It was located between the northern ends of Seneca and Canandaigua Lakes, 1.5 miles northwest of the present-day city of Geneva in the township of Seneca. Around 1754, the Senecas moved north from a nearby village. A blockhouse was built in 1756 by Sir William Johnson. There was at least 50 to 60 houses, and then when the British came during the Revolutionary War, they built defenses around the village. Unfortunately, the remains were in existence until 1779, when the Sullivan expedition came through and destroyed the villages. So, I found something very interesting. I know that there was stories about the Indian mound, but I found it. I'm actually on top of this Indian mound, and this right here, as you can see, it is the burial mound of Seneca Indians, and Kanadasaga was the village and fort that was actually back over this way, because there was a creek, Castle Creek, that fed into the fort. So I am actually on a burial mound. Interesting, huh? General John Butler was deeply involved with the alliance he had helped to form. He had barracks and a storehouse built at the bottom of Seneca Lake near Kanadasaga, the capital of his Seneca Indian allies, known as Butler's Buildings. The barracks and storehouses stood on the northwest corner of Seneca Lake, which is the current site of the New York State Welcome Center in Geneva. Over the hills and far from mine, she's waiting for love to be real. My visit to the Geneva Historical Society was very fruitful in my ambitions to find out about Geneva. Now, this map here is a map of 1793, and I found it very interesting that the curator showed me what it looked like back then. And you see the shoreline of Seneca Lake, and also how the lake was up to the buildings. The lake was a major transportation route from the 1790s into the early 20th century. The Seneca-Cayuga Canal was in operation prior to 1825. Steamers hauled gangs of barges on the lake between Seneca and Cayuga in the north and the Chemung Canal in the south. Along the lake shore today, you see Highway 5 and 20 go through, and also a park to enjoy. In the 1800s, the railroads changed almost every aspect of Geneva. It helped the farms create new markets, industry boomed, and also immigrants came for new jobs and new lives. So this is the Lehigh Valley Railroad in Geneva as it is today. At one time, the Geneva and Ithaca line expanded to Athens, Pennsylvania. The Lehigh Valley Railroad began in 1878, offered services from Buffalo. In 1889, the Buffalo and Geneva Railroad was organized, becoming part of the LVRR's service from New York City to Niagara Falls. This you might find very interesting, that one of the oldest burial grounds in Geneva was the Pulteney Street Burial Ground. Now, the first burials appear to have taken place where Trinity Episcopal Church stands today. Apparently, the Trinity Church lot was not intended to be a cemetery, but convenience, and the fact that in the early settlement days, most of the early pioneers were strangers to each other. Trinity's first building, a wooden church, was built without a basement and on a stone foundation, placed directly over most of the existing graves and did not disturb them. This followed the practice of many churches in England and Europe, where parishioners were often buried in or under churches. When the stone constructed Trinity Church was built in 1842. A basement was dug and the graveyard had to be disturbed. A careful search was made, and as bodies were discovered, they were turned over to friends and relatives. Smith Opera House, known as the Geneva Theater, is located in Geneva, New York. It was constructed in 1894 and is a 3.5-story detached brick and stone building. It was built by one of Geneva's most respected citizens, William Smith. It was renovated in 1931 as a movie theater. 1979, it was listed as the National Register of Historic Places. The building, still in use today, has played host to greats like Isadora Duncan, Bruce Springsteen, and Billy Joel. So now we take you to a park called Powder Mills Park. At one time they made gunpowder at this park, and we may look into that at a later time. But our first trail is the Corduroy Trail, or the Ridge Trail. Told you we'd be doing some trails this year in the snow, and here we are. The temperature is just right. It's probably about in the 30s. Very little wind, a little bit of snowfall, but I mean, it's so serene here and crisp and clear. It's just such a nice place to be right now. And it's probably already passed, but as we're speaking, we're supposed to be getting a big storm come in, and good opportunity to be out here before it hits.
I knew I'd find you here. You always leave when you can't feel. You tell me to leave you alone, but I can't stay away. I know I should let you go, but there's something telling me no. I know I should let you be, but I keep on thinking of you and me, thinking of you and me, but I keep on thinking of you and me, thinking of you and me, but there's something telling me no.
The Corduroy Trail is about a 1.2-mile trail, and it is a loop trail that goes along on one side of a ridge and then goes down and crosses the Corduroy Road and then goes back up and goes along the other side.
I knew I'd find you here. You always leave when you can't feel. You tell me to leave you alone, but I can't stay away. I know I should let you go, but there's something telling me no. I know I should let you be, but I keep on thinking of you and me, thinking of you and me, but I keep on thinking of you and me, thinking of you and me, but there's something telling me no.
Our next trail is kind of interesting. It's called the Fish Hatchery Trail, and there is a fish hatchery here in the park. You get to see the different life cycles of trout here. we may see a lot of deer tracks. We might even see some deer, Brady.
We might have fun.
Yes. It's really
Hard snow with ice under it.
yeah, and we have to be
Like that.
careful, really careful. This is what happens when we hike in the winter, because our weather, it frosts and defrosts and everything. You okay?
That's cold.
Brady kind of slipped on some ice, but
Yeah.
this is
It's
where.
cold.
You all right?
Yeah.
So this is the fish hatchery trail we're on, and you ought to see behind me, but the middle of this trail is probably going to be really icy. But take a look at this behind me. It's it seems like a really, really nice area, and I think we're going to have fun with this. So we're going to take you with us. So this trail is about, I would say a little over maybe 1.2 miles to hike, and I bet it's really pretty in the spring and summer. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume it's pretty then. Now, let's see what obstacles are coming for us next. At this point of the trail, we are climbing up a hill, and when you see my response to what when I see them, you're going to know because I yelled at Brady and said a word that I'm not going to repeat. And we saw some deer. Alright, so we didn't show you the whole trail. We just want to give you a taste of some of this trail here called the Fish Hatchery Trail. And Brady, what do you think? Yeah, nice trail. Yeah, Brady likes it. I do too. And if you live in New York, you need to visit these trails. Look, I'm telling you what. In the winter, that's up to you. But for us, we like to be adventurous, but careful. Alright, so that is the end of this episode for February. We hope you enjoyed seeing all the snow. Spring is coming. We're ready to do some biking and more hiking. The thing we want to, and I think I've mentioned this before, is we want to do a contest. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but it's a possibility of winning a free t-shirt. Now, I will give you more information as you know, in the next couple months or so. We'll have something, but you could win a t-shirt. And I think how I'm going to do it, or how we're going to do it, is whoever shares the episode for April the most, within a 2 or 3 week period on our Facebook page, will win a free t-shirt. Whoever does that. So stay tuned. We'll let you know a little bit more about that. And Brady, what do you think about this episode?
It was fun.
Yeah?
It was really fun.
We got to see some wildlife. And
Close up.
Close up, yes. It was kind of close, yeah. And the things about Geneva you never probably ever knew, huh?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube channel. We are always looking for new subscribers. And also, right down here on the bottom should be where you click to subscribe. So for James Kinney,
Brady Hill.
we'll see you in March for another episode. Bye. Next time on Discover the Finger Lakes, we take you to a museum in Wayne County, and then we go to a trail called Fort Hill Trail. Finally, we take you to another trail called Bluebird Haven near Victor, New York.